All right, I'm gonna give it till 8:02 and then get going because I want to respect everybody's time. But just so everyone knows, I'm gonna allow everyone to talk because later we're gonna have some interactive sections. So you'll just be asked, you can go ahead and unmute yourself during that time. And we can share. It's always more fun when we are able to collaborate and kind of share our thoughts, and we can learn a lot from each other. So I encourage everybody to participate in those sections as well. All right, so without further ado, I'll get going. This session is, I believe, our fourth in the six session series for PTEC. And this is about parent engagement and really, talking about kind of piggybacking on our last session where we did introduce journey modeling. And that was more specifically about, just kind of an overview and talking, about the enrollment journey specifically. But this is really about parent engagement, and it's going to build on that previous session, but we're going to look a little bit more into depth at the various personas that we can find in the parent guardian audience. So we're going to navigate the journey of that parent and family audience, and then uncover some opportunities to improve engagement through either existing channels or some new methods, which ultimately improves trust and perception. So a little bit about me, if you haven't met me yet, my name is Molly McGowan Gorsuch. I'm the Director of Client Engagement here with Rhodes Branding. And since we are going to be talking about journey modeling, I wanted to share my journey. So I came to North Carolina originally from I was in Florida, but I went to undergrad at Elon University, went to J School, a journalism school there, and I got my first job at the Burlington Times News. It was my dream to be a reporter, and I covered everything from city, government to well, everything, because it was a small newspaper, and if you worked in a newspaper, you know what I mean. You're kind of a catch-all reporter. From there, I actually transferred to the Times News here in Hendersonville, North Carolina, started covering education, and that I became the education reporter, and that's where I made my contacts in the education field, and was asked by the superintendent if I would be interested in pursuing PR and communications in the public schools. So that led me to Henderson County Public Schools, where I served as a communications leader for about 8 years. And during that time, I wanted to advance myself and get more learning. So I went to Purdue University, got my master's in communications, science and communications. And then from there, now I'm at Rhodes Branding, where I lead client engagement and thought leadership and thought development with folks like yourself, and I'm excited to be here today. So that is a very abbreviated journey of mine, just in sort of the I guess the education through career. So we're going to talk a little bit more about journey modeling, just kind of review it, since it's been a minute since we all met. And then we're going to talk about the sample, give a sample of like the parent guardian journey, just to get some ideas going. And then talk about some maximization of some touch points, and then share some strategies and examples from other schools and districts that are doing it well. And then leave some time for some reflection, see how we can apply that to our own districts. And then, of course, leave some time for some question and answers. But briefly, just I'll share a little bit about us, who we are, and why is Molly from Rhodes Branding talking to us? Well, we have a partnership with PTEC, and it's been fabulous. Leading thought development and sharing these sessions with y'all. But we are a strategic branding and marketing firm that only serves K-12 education. This guy that you see right here is our creative director, Michael, and he actually came from a pretty big agency in LA, working with brands like Peloton, Audi, Wayfair, and many others. And his story on as to why he now works specifically in K-12 is actually impacted by his own student journey. He had a ninth grade teacher who impacted him, and that's exactly the kind of story that we know is just so often what we see in our schools. And without that mentorship as a kid, there's no telling what Michael's path would have been. So that kind of dovetails into the reason why we do what we do. We do it for the kids, and our mission is to get kids running to school, not away from it. And we are happy to be nearing our goal of we're measuring success. We always talk about wanting to have measurable objectives and metrics, and our goal is to impact 10 million students by 2033. So I would like to say a big thank you to Lily Cox, because partnerships like the one we have with PTEC and being able to share with you helps us reach that goal and impact things kind of more on a regional scale. So it's great to be here today, and I thank you for letting me share a little bit about us. So let's dive into journey modeling. Just a quick review, because in our last session together, we covered that and how it can be used to understand what's driving parents and guardians, specifically in the enrollment process. Oops, sorry. I want to quickly revisit that, because this session is going to build on that concept and look at the rest of that parent-family journey with your school district and the experiential touch points that they have with your district brand. So remember that every touch point shapes the emotions and thoughts someone's going to have about your district. And every touch point with a prospective family matters in today's competitive market. Last January, well, every January, but this past January was National School Choice Month. And I saw a statistic from a survey they conducted that said 53% of parents considered or are considering choosing new schools. So again, every touch point really matters right now in this increasingly competitive market. We're going to have some more numbers that can kind of drive that point home as well. So given this competition, right, how can you improve every interaction that you're going to have with either a prospective family or one that you currently have in your district to ensure that you're maintaining and exceeding your goals, not just for enrollment, but that continued engagement with families? So journey modeling is a good way to start, because it helps you understand them from their perspective. Remember, first things first, you've got to decide on your persona. Whose journey are you mapping, right? So when we're building a persona with our client districts, we have them start by answering a set of questions to get to the heart of that person, right? Like really a real person. What motivates them, where they look for information, what they're doing in their free time, what level of education they have, how many kids they have in the system, what involvement they have in their child's education, etc. Because it's more than just saying, parent of an elementary school student or parent of a high school student, because there's more nuances to these personas than that. For example, when we're thinking about the parent guardian audience, the needs, concerns, emotions, and journeys of each of these are going to differ. Like, think about just these three examples right here. A parent of a rising sixth grader, is going to be navigating the transition to middle school. Their concerns and their thoughts are going to be way different than, say, the guardian who, or the grandparent who's raising their grandchild, and they're in elementary school. So not only is the child's age different, they're also navigating a different life stage. And so their questions and their needs are going to be different as well. And similarly, if it's a parent or guardian of a student who is enrolled in exceptional children courses in high school, they're going to have questions about IEPs and occupational course of study that maybe the parent of the rising sixth grader isn't going to be navigating. So I'm encouraging you guys now to kind of think about these various personas and share out a little bit. Like, when it comes to improving these parent engagement at your districts, which persona do you feel you need to focus on first? So kind of think about this to yourself, and then if in just a second, I'm going to share this interactive slide that you can scan with your smartphone and share with us. But tell me, if you were to develop a persona for this journey model, what's that going to look like? And we're obviously not going to be doing that deep dive in our workshop, but start to think about those unique characteristics that you might build for this journey model. So things like, how old are they? How many children do they have in the system? What grade level is their child? Are there any other special needs there? What's their preferred method of receiving communication from the district? Is English their first language? Things like that. So take just a few minutes to jot some thoughts down. And then this is definitely interactive. So when you've got your thoughts together, share them through scanning your QR code here, and we can share out together. I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes to do that. And then I can see this active poll here. See, once we get a few results in, we can all click it and we can see what folks have had to say. And it might be that, you know, throughout this process, you're thinking of a couple, right? There might be, hey, this particular persona we would need to develop. If you have more than one, share that as well. Now we've got a couple people in there. If you just joined us, we are talking about identifying a persona that you feel you would need to focus on first when it comes to improving parent engagement at your district. Awesome. All right, we've got one, age around 30. The child's age is elementary. They're primarily a Spanish-speaking family, but they do speak some English. Their socioeconomic level is they are living in poverty, and their main concerns are that the child is learning, the child is behaving in school, and the child maintains the home language. I love that. That's really specific and exactly what we're looking for. Thank you. Let's see if we can get a couple more. And again, if you're, you know, struggling with some of the details, that's something you can flesh out later on your own, but just kind of think in general, like, is there a particular persona you feel that you would need to focus on first in developing a journey model for improved parent engagement? All right, we had some more folks typing, but I don't think, only the one came through. Does anybody want to unmute themselves and share that way? That's also allowed. Nope. Okay. All right. Well, let's move along. Let's review the stages of the journey model itself. So to start a model for that particular audience and journey, you got to start with the catalyst, right? And that is essentially what's moving them to action. And then you're identifying the rest of the stages of the journey. You're really breaking down that journey that the parent or guardian has with your district, such as, you know, that initial inquiry, conversations with family and friends, kind of like that word on the street research. any school visits, any enrollment processes, communications with the school. Is that through text? Is that through email? Parent engagement nights, etc. And so then you're really determining those emotions and experiences, because at each touch point, you're considering them from the perspective that the stakeholder has. For example, family might feel really excited and hopeful when they first learn about your district or about a particular school, but then they could get frustrated or overwhelmed if they encounter a complicated application process, or in the case of, perhaps like the example we just saw, their primary language, their home language is Spanish, but they're maybe frustrated and concerned that their child isn't going to be, that's not going to be nurtured at the school, or they're not going to be able to continue practicing and speaking Spanish in the school as well, and they don't want that to be lost. So it's important not to get caught up in the shoulds during journey mapping, because you want to really analyze the current state of their journey as it is now before really strategizing how to improve the touch points along the way. It's easy to get ahead of yourself, so keep the focus on the now, establishing that current state, and then moving on to the next point of interaction. And then you can pinpoint those areas along the journey you can reduce friction based on those emotions and experiences you've identified. Look for areas where you can improve that engagement with key audiences. For example, you might simplify an application process, offer more opportunities for families to interact with current students and faculty, and then you maybe utilize existing events or communication methods to share key information at specific points in time that you've identified throughout this journey model to key target audiences. And then ultimately, you're going to continue to monitor and refine that journey model as families go through their processes. And then you're going to use feedback and data to make improvements over time. And a lot of times that can be really impacted by, if you have if a superintendent's council, or perhaps a let's see, if you're getting regular meetings with these families engagement, this feedback can be collected there. Oh, we've got a hand up from Nora. Go for it.
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay. No worries. I was like, oh, cool. We have a question. All right. Yeah, definitely. If anyone has questions, throw a hand up. I'm happy to stop at any time. So let's talk about the sample parent and guardian journey, because often we're thinking about, that first day of school and then the graduation day points in a student's journey, and then also that family's journey. But there are so many touch points in between and leading up to those milestone moments that's really going to directly impact whether a family chooses to stay with the district or find a different school home. So think about a family's experience with with your district as they move through different key stages. Again, we talked about application, but then there's student orientation, first day of school, there's car rider line, right? How can you make those touch points bring a smile to their faces? So like the process of enrolling itself, that's a key touch point. What's the website user experience like? Is it catered to prospective families or more of an internal staff audience? And are the enrollment forms intuitive? Or are they kind of requiring a lot of upfront data and work that could be discouraging to families, especially perhaps those whose language, home language isn't English? And then that key stage between enrollment and first day of school, where you can lose students to summer melt, are you engaging families with invitations to visit campuses? Think about also how you're utilizing emails, texts, and other communications throughout the year to engage with families at key touch points, not just as alerts when there's an emergency. Remember that each and every interaction with your district and individual schools throughout the year, including how families are greeted and received by school office personnel, either when they're walking through front doors or calling on the phone, and then planned engagement events, they're all ripe opportunities to improve this parent engagement. So let's talk about some specific touch points and how to maximize them. Once you have mapped out the journey for your individual persona, you can really pinpoint these existing touch points that they have with your district, with your district brand, where they're needed to be finessed, or if new ones need to be added at key stages to drive the desired results. When we consider various touch points you can maximize to improve your parent engagement strategy, they're generally going to fall into either a digital or non-digital category. And these by no means are, it's not an exhaustive list, but there are some that we definitely talk about with our clients and with our schools, because they're high kind of ROI and usually very, very low cost, if any cost at all, for some of these. So definitely not an all-inclusive list, but the ones here we're going to really talk about today are website, email marketing, school tours, and special events. And as we talk about each of these, I'm excited to show you some really good examples coming from some districts and some individual schools that are doing this really well. So when you're thinking about your website as a key touch point for families, it's important to consider, again, whether that website is speaking to your parents and other external stakeholders, like, your potential employees, or, as is the case with many K-12 websites, is it more of like a repository of information that's really easy for staff to navigate because they kind of have this historical knowledge or institutional knowledge, but it's really not curated for a parent searching. And that's, again, where journey modeling can help, understanding what it is they're looking for, what key stages in their journey, and that helps you develop a strategy for things like intuitive web design, content, and navigation. And then understanding these individual personas, which are going to be, again, unique to each district, can help you further customize the information you provide based on their specific needs of your sub-communities. So you want to design your website to attract families and educators, right? Having a clear navigation, calls to action, and dedicated sections for careers and families. Again, I'm talking about careers because I know we're talking about families, family engagement, but we can't underscore the fact. We can't help but underscore the fact that, of course, you also do need to be speaking to your prospective employees as well. So again, too often, school websites are kind of laid out in ways that may make sense to staff who access it daily, aren't really intuitive to families. And remember, it's really about removing obstacles and friction points by designing it to have a user experience with those external audiences and candidates in mind. So you're improving that touch point with your district and then ultimately increasing the likelihood they're going to want to continue engaging with your website instead of just abandoning it out of frustration. So it kind of helps to think of it as the front porch for your district. Not only should it be easy to navigate, the content itself needs to be engaging and the whole site needs to be mobile friendly. And why is that? Well, 45% of web traffic in 2023 in North America came from mobile devices. So mobile friendly is key. I think most districts have that under control now, but there are some times where it is a little bit harder to navigate. And that's one potential obstacle for a family. Also, 61% of users expect to find what they're looking for within 5 seconds of landing on a website. So we talk about people having short attention spans. They know, or they want to know, and they want to know that they're going to get the information they're looking for pretty immediately. So serving it up to them matters really, really big time. So 88% of users also aren't going to return to a website after they've had a bad experience with it. So again, you want to make sure you're nurturing that engagement. A well-designed website with intuitive user access really encourages those repeat visits. Additionally, a few more stats about your website is that users take about 6.44 seconds to figure out the navigation. After that, they're out. So you want to ensure it's intuitive and easy to access. And they also really only dedicate 5.59 seconds to reading the written content on a site. So you want to make it engaging, clean, and streamlined to grab that attention quickly. Next up, I want to show a district that's created a really intuitive website experience for prospective and current families. So this is Derby Public Schools. It is a small to mid-sized district, about 13 schools, 7,000 students in Kansas. And it's actually one of few that I've seen recently to include a direct acknowledgement of the future families audience segment. You can see this here. I kind of blew it up a little bit so you can see it a little bit easier. But while other districts provide a basic About Us page, Derby customizes the experience, changing how it's really perceived by this particular audience. When families navigate to this page, Derby has key messages for the new and future family audience, including information about curriculum, the school culture, of course, how to enroll. But then this section, military families, is specifically relevant to a subgroup of their parent family demographics or a particular persona that they have identified. Derby Public Schools is about 8 miles from McConnell Air Force Base. And using their student data, they know that 17% of their student population is military connected. So it makes sense for this district to prioritize making incoming families who are relocating due to military duties feel really welcomed in that district. So is the journey model for a military parent looking to enroll their child mid-year going to look different than one for a non-military family looking to enroll their kindergarten student at the start of the school year? Absolutely. And their concerns, questions, and needs are going to be very different as well. So again, that's kind of another example of how you can have multiple personas that you will need to identify and journey model within your family groups. So let's see how Derby proactively addresses those needs of that subgroup. On the page for military families, Derby covers the basics like quick facts about the district and calendar info, but they also include key institutional knowledge or something that families who, grow up in the district might know, but incoming families might not. And this is to make newcomers feel really part of the culture and community at the very start. Like when school spirit day is, what their colors are, and where they can find swag, in local shops and spirit wear to outfit their kids who are coming into the schools. Derby further personalizes their messages to this audience by highlighting flexible job opportunities like substitute teaching that, quote, work around a variety of schedules and needs that your family may have. So this page is also a one-stop shop for resources, specifically for military-connected families, both within the district and part of the broader community. A couple examples include the student-to-student group, which is a student program that brings military and civilian students together to welcome the new students, create this positive environment, and then support academic excellence and ease transitions. So a new student throughout this program is given a tour and provided a buddy to eat lunch with on their first day of school. Military and family life counselors are also highlighted. They provide counseling services and briefings to children and spouses of military service members during deployment and offer counseling sessions to help the families prepare for separation during an overseas posting. And so this counselor can specialize in counseling and development for children of military personnel, marriage counseling, or help families adjust when they move to a new base. And of course, they list the contact information for the official liaison to the McConnell Air Force Base. So this is a really good example of how one public school system can really speak to its prospective families and has identified a persona that they can speak to on their website. Now let's talk about email marketing and how to maximize touch points there. Again, when you've mapped out your parent or guardian's journey with your district, you can anticipate their concerns and needs so you can deliver timely messages in a targeted fashion directly when they need it. But email marketing, like we're talking about here, is not like that direct person-to-person email through like Gmail or Outlook or whatever hosting you're using. And it's a little different than using the mass comm tools to send out a crisis communication. This has to do with targeting and retargeting. And that's email marketing automation and sequencing that delivers email content that can be timely and based on specific online activities. It can also help with internal efficiencies when it comes to engaging both internal and external audiences. So there are many different ways to use this tactic in your overall marketing, but we know it can also be particularly helpful with recruitment and enrollment marketing to follow up with families at each step in their process to joining your community and then continued engagement with their school communities at key phases during the school year. Because nowadays, we are all used to experiencing like that personalized content online, right? So ads that appear, the item you like the ads that appear showing the item that you added to your shopping cart but didn't actually buy, or content related to your location. Email marketing can get that specific as well. Or it can also just be scheduled newsletters. There's a range of possibilities on how you can do this and utilize this in your district. So remember that your email marketing strategy should be similarly targeted, right? Focused on consistent communication and that tailored messaging. So regular newsletters, updates, personalized content, that's going to keep your community engaged. And then utilizing the data that you get from those emails and from depending on which particular platform you're using, you can use that data to retarget, and that's where the power is in the email marketing. And nurturing these leads and maintaining the interest is crucial for long-term engagement with your audience. So here is an example from Columbia Public Schools. It's an example of email marketing. It's a newsletter for career and technical education programs from the Columbia Public Schools in Missouri. And in these newsletters to parents, they are specifically targeting families of 8th to 11th graders with information about CTE opportunities for their students. They're also setting expectations for future communications. So this email informs families when they can expect mailed copies of the course, career, and college guide, while also providing that digital copy of the guide within the email newsletter itself. It's also promoting future opportunities to learn more at other engagement events like the Columbia Area Career Center Showcase. And then they include a very clear call to action to register for that open house. So that's a good example of a newsletter for an email marketing campaign. Now let's talk about tours and events. These can be fun and very unique. And sometimes, we think about, well, of course, there's a school tour, there's open houses, but there are ways to make it even more engaging and some cool new things to think about. But overall, why are they important? Well, they're extremely valuable in a family's journey with your district because you're literally getting prospective students and families into the front door of your schools, entertaining a captive audience that's already eager to decide if that school is the right fit for them. So we've talked about brand values and how to communicate them. And this is a key opportunity to show how your district's brand values are embraced and lived through your school communities, within your school community by the people who are there living them, right? Your students, your faculty, your staff. And the best way to get interested families onto your campus is by making the tour scheduling process a breeze. So let's take a quick poll about that. And I'd love to hear, again, scan the QR code here to let us know what type of school tour experiences does your district currently promote to families? Are they in-person tours of schools? Are they virtual tours of schools? Do you offer both? Or does your district not currently promote either of any school options for families? All right, we've got a couple. We have 2 folks in. Let's hear some more. It's changing. I love the interactive stuff that you can see right in real time. All right, I know we have a lot more people on this call, so let's see if we can fill out these numbers. What types of school experiences or experience does your district promote to families? You will please join in and join this poll. All right, it's looking like most are offering or promoting they're either promoting in-person tours of schools or not promoting any options at all. Interesting to see that currently of this group, virtual tours are not offered. Okay, well, let's move along to one more question. How do families schedule a school tour? Is this online through the school district website? Is it online actually through the individual specific school site that they're trying to schedule a tour for? Is it by calling the specific school? Or is it kind of like this process just varies school by school and there's no collective process? And so once I get a few answers, I'll click and see what our actions are. How do families schedule a school tour at your district? All right, let's get a couple more people in. We've only got 3. All right, so the majority of respondents are saying that families schedule a school tour by calling the specific school, or that the process varies school by school. All right, anybody want to change those numbers? Do they have any other additional input? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, let's talk about the school tour experience. When we're thinking about that family moving into a district who has an elementary student and also a middle school student, would it not be easier to navigate if they went through the same process to schedule tours at each prospective school? Or if there was a one-stop hub on the district site where they could schedule multiple tours in just a couple clicks? So thinking about that process and how and whether it's consistent across all schools in your district is really important, because if it's not streamlined online, it can still be streamlined through consistent messaging. For instance, if families are calling the schools, like a few of you said, that's how they schedule at your district. If families are calling the schools to schedule a tour, do front office personnel kind of all read from the same script with the same instructions and information providing those incoming families? If not, it's as easy as developing those talking points at the district level and then setting the expectation with principals and their staff that everyone's following the same procedures. And then you can streamline it that way. It doesn't have to be a digital version. And then think about, is the onus on the families to call the school or district to schedule a tour? Or, like some districts do and some schools we've seen, is there a list of pre-scheduled tours that the district has set at the beginning of the year and shares with prospective families and that people can just register for? If you're offering pre-scheduled events, or if you're thinking about offering them, you want to be sure to list enough options, perhaps 2 to 3 each month, to provide flexibility for busy work and family schedules. Or you can also consider offering virtual tours. Also think about the fact that many families bring their children to tour the school with them, which makes sense, right? It's where they're going to be going after all. But what a great opportunity to start building these student-to-student relationships. Think about how your schools can incorporate student leaders as peer ambassadors to bridge these connections with prospective students and families and simultaneously illustrate your lived brand values. Lastly, you can consider offering a virtual option for families who may not be able to attend in-person tours due to work schedules, or maybe the fact that they're doing their school research from multiple states away before doing a big move to your state. So these can be as fancy and immersive as a 360-degree click-through tour, or as simple as a video recording of a walkthrough that you have on your website. Either way, how can you invite more families inside your school doors, but virtually? So I want to share this experience, and I know this is coming from a charter school, but I wanted to share some examples that are really unique and user-friendly. So Basis Charter Schools has a very streamlined tour registration across all their campuses, and that's across Arizona, Louisiana, Washington, DC, and Texas. And so the thing I like about this is that the school tours page does a really great job highlighting the benefits of taking an immersive campus tour, and it shares exactly what parents and families can expect when they arrive, from the length of the tour that they can expect, also as well as the topics they're going to cover, and the visitor check-in procedures, which is important because we also know that school safety is so key. So it's really setting those expectations for families when they arrive. Now let's look at another school. Already a recruitment tool in higher education, virtual school tours gained popularity big time in K-12 during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now they should be considered a best practice for increasing that accessibility and reducing barriers for families. And again, it can be as simple as that recorded walkthrough of campus with that informational voiceover, or as advanced as this interactive 360-degree virtual campus tour here, like this Franklin Town Charter High School in Philadelphia. And here is a screenshot of what that 360 tour looks like. You can see when you click on these bubbles, it basically takes you to the next location, kind of like a video game, an interactive video game. And here's a different take on tours. We mentioned this last time, but Monroe Road Elementary's unique parent engagement event went viral when they took a unique take on a tradition for college-bound high school athletes. They mimicked signing day for incoming kindergartners at the open house. And so not only was it an important touch point for school families to feel connected to their new school, the principal left here in the photo and the superintendent on the right used it as an opportunity to start building relationships with 55 families that they had never met before. So, thinking about how these different parent engagement events can look different. They can be a little bit more creative and different than they used to be in the past. Now, on that note, I want to talk about parent universities. They are basically workshops and seminars organized and hosted by a district that support families in a child's academic, personal, and emotional growth experience. And this concept is really driven by the ideas and needs of the local area parents themselves. We know that parents want and seek resources, but they don't want to be preached at, right? So if we're involving them in the process and seeking their feedback, you can set the schedule based on what works best for the community you're serving. Consider the barriers that the families may face to participating, and then address those needs. If possible, you can offer childcare, as that is a barrier for many families, depending on the time of day that these parent universities are offered. And that can be either through your own district services or volunteers from an honor society or partnerships with community organizations, etc. If you're hosting an event around lunch or dinner time, consider serving a meal, because really that is reducing another barrier as well. And to be truly equitable, you'll need to offer your courses and any in-person sessions in the languages spoken by your families. So again, knowing your personas and knowing the various families within your district is going to be key there. So I'd love to take a look at some of these parent universities that I found. This is Family Academy. It's an initiative by Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools here in North Carolina that exemplifies a really dedicated effort to strengthening the partnership between families and the education system. And it's a collaborative approach involving community agencies, organizations, and CMS departments. The Academy offers a range of valuable resources and opportunities that's supporting and empowering families and playing a more active role in their child's education. And so their stated purpose is that they want to strengthen engagement in schools and empower families with the necessary tools to support the success of the whole child. And workshops range from assisting children in preparing for things like end of grade and end of course assessments, to getting ready for transitions at the kindergarten, middle school, and high school grade levels, as well as coping with the challenges of adolescence. And you can see here the focus areas that they have actually listed on the website: academic success, navigating CMS, so kind of more institutional knowledge about the district itself, health and wellness, financial awareness, and that's helpful for parents as well, and then life and leadership skills, and then technology and cyber safety. And so on the dedicated website for the Family Academy, CMS lists all the upcoming courses in a Google Calendar that parents and guardians can add to their own calendars, as well as a full course catalog, which you can see here. And so it runs, the gamut here by showing, how to build and repair credits, life skills and well-being for boys and young men, MTSS overview, frameworks on how to support the whole child, Latino food and nutrition for families on a budget, and then there's also several sessions here that were offered in multiple languages. I just couldn't fit all of the pages on one screen. Here's a parent university program that was initially launched in 2022 at Urbandale Community School District in Iowa. And throughout that, in 2022, it consisted of numerous evenings throughout the school year where parents and guardians could attend in-person sessions to learn more about key info and resources in the Urbandale Community School District. But attendee feedback following those sessions actually prompted the development of a parent university online resource hub, which enables parents and guardians to access content at their own convenience. So the primary categories there are academics, student well-being, and using district technology. And so things in the academics pathway, if you will, includes videos on things like how grading works, math pathways, and understanding grade fluency. And then student well-being helps parents understand the district's multi-tier system of support, social emotional character education, and the role that professional school counselors play in supporting their child in the school district. And I want to call out their using district technology section because it's a great example of a touch point that reduces frictions for families, whether they're new or existing. They've been there for a while. Because think about all the new information, including but not limited to a slew of logins that a parent or guardian is going to learn about when they bring a child to your district, right? It can be overwhelming, and it's probably no surprise that some key information might get forgotten between orientation and the first time they want to actually check a student's grade or make a lunch payment. In this section of the Parent University portal, Urbandale not only provides instructional videos on topics like how to submit a pre-registration request or activating an account in Parent Square, they have a quick guide for all the district technology that parents need to access information. And it looks like this. It's actually kind of like laid out like a Google sheet or Excel sheet, but it's interactive, and the quick guide explains the purpose of each technology that's used by the district, the login link, plus resource links for additional help on how to use it. And so this isn't the full list, but it's a screenshot to show you most of the ones that are listed there. So we've got a few moments for reflection. Once you've mapped out the journey for your persona, you can really pinpoint those existing touch points they have with your district. Let's think about, now that we've gone over the basics of a journey model, think about that journey model for your district. What is one way that your district currently excels in engaging with prospective or current families? We talked a little bit about some of the things we could do, but let's talk about some of the wins, right? Some of the things that we are currently excelling in engaging with prospective or current families. So this is where I will encourage folks to unmute themselves and just go for it.
Hi, I'm Deanna Wiles from Asheboro City Schools. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so one thing I think that we do pretty well is that we have really started to tell our story better on social media, and we've had a lot of families react to that, and families that are seeking us out and reaching out to us because of the events and the stories that they see on social media, and they see, their children and other children in our district who look like them, and they just really get excited about our district and the things that we're doing. So I think that's one thing that can help. But I've gotten a lot of great ideas from this presentation today.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Deanna. All right, let's hear some more. What are some other ways that your district is currently excelling in engaging with prospective or current families? You can't leave Deanna hanging. You gotta let, someone else has got to say something. All right, we got a quiet group here today, but thank you for those who definitely were active participants today. It always makes it more fun. Before we leave, I want to just kind of open the floor for questions. If anyone has any questions before we leave, now's a good time. All right. Hearing none, just one quick plug. If you are interested in finding some more clarity and alignment in these journey modeling, that's something we offer with journey modeling workshops, depending on your personas and helping you build those personas. So if that's something you're interested, please reach out, let me know. And next up, we have digital marketing for schools on October 24th from 8 to 9 a.m. You can scan the QR code to register now if you haven't yet, or we will, I believe, be sending out some additional emails and reminders to everyone. So thank you so much for joining today, and everyone on the call will also be getting an email follow-up from me where you can watch the recording of this webinar. Thank you all, and hope you have a great rest of your week.